like most of you guys, I have a favorite movie of mine. And I oftentimes when people say, "Oh, what's your favorite movie? What's the best movie you've ever seen?" I give them the same answer, and it's been the same answer for maybe the last like 7 years. The answer is No Country for Old Men, and I can actually remember the time when I actually watched it for the first time. The first time I watched it, it was only for a few minutes, and it was in the living room with my dad. I came out of my room when I was around maybe like 13. I came, wanted to spend some time with my dad. I sat down below him on the floor, and we watched this movie for a few minutes until he sent me off to bed to go to school in the morning. I remember this haunting, menacing man. He was walking down a motel street, holding a shotgun. That image haunted me for about a few years afterwards, and I kind of just put it away until a lecture reminded me of the character. I had entered my sophomore year of high school, and I was in an English literature class, and we were doing a presentation on characterization. And the character on the monitor was this haunting, menacing man that all of a sudden clicked for me. I was like, oh my god, I know who that is. The character's name is Anton Chigurh. He is the main antagonist of No Country for Old Men. And after that day, I learned a few things about him. I went home, I watched the movie on Netflix, and my life changed. I've never felt more suspense, more excitement during a movie. I've never felt the same way while while watching a different movie than I felt watching No Country for Old Men. For some reason, this was a very big life changing experience. Afterwards, I googled top 10 movies like No Country for Old Men, and I went through the whole list, and I watched top 25 suspense movies of all time. I watched top 100 movies of all time, trying to get the same feeling that I got from watching No Country for Old Men. Well, only a few movies have ever made me feel like I the first time like watching No Country for Old Men for the first time, and one of these movies was Annie Hall. Now, Annie Hall is a comedy, and it incorporates one of my favorite dramatic techniques that most filmmakers use, and it's the fourth wall break. Now, the fourth wall break, no film school, and that's an online publisher. They wrote an article about what it is and what it means, and now they defined it as a dramatic technique in which the actor within a scene acknowledges that they are in, a movie or something. Now, in terms, that kind of seems very simple, right? But it's usually done very. It's usually done as a way to connect the audience with the movie, but sometimes it doesn't work out that well. But in most cases, like with Annie Hall, it works out perfectly. And now I'm gonna share a clip of Annie Hall, and in this clip, it's the context is the main character and his girlfriend are on a date. They're going to the movies. They're gonna watch a movie, and
And the funny part of it is, Marshall McLuhan, you don't know anything about Marshall McLuhan's work.
Really. I happen to teach a class at Columbia called TV, Media, and Culture. So I think that my insights into Mr. McLuhan, well, have a great deal of validity.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Well, that's funny because I happen to have Mr. McLuhan right here. So yeah, just let me come over here a second.
Oh, I heard what you were saying. You know nothing of my work. You mean my whole fallacy is wrong. How you ever got to teach a course in anything is totally amazing.
Boy, if life were only like this.
now the guy who says if life can only be like this, that's the main character. And throughout the movie, we can pinpoint back to that scene as kind of early signs of who he truly is as a character. Now, the main character, he's kind of egotistical. He tends to always be right, and he's very eccentric. He's very different. And I think that's what kind of makes Annie Hall a really good movie, really great movie. It includes all these wacky characters and with these wacky fourth wall breaks. A film critic from the New York Times, his name's Vincent Canby, he watched this movie in 1977, the year it released, and he had to say this about Annie Hall. He said, it's the humane sensibility of comedy. Now, you can take that for what you will, but I take that as great praise for one of the best comedy movies of the 20th century. And now, I hope that clip made you laugh, and I hope you kind of have a gauge of what fourth wall breaks do and what fourth wall breaks can do. And I'm going to leave you off with, can you imagine being a obnoxious guy who's kind of like knows it all and being the guy who gets owned in that scene? Like, can you imagine just being an audience being like, yeah, I was like someone who acts like that, watching a movie, getting called out like that? I don't know. Forest wall breaks are pretty funny and incredible.